the only time the board president would have to move seats.
Okay, everyone, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna have board members take their seats before I gavel.
Okay, way down, okay, David James is not here.
Board members, please take your seats. Good evening, everyone. I am calling our January 4th, 2022 board meeting to order. Mr. Treasurer, please call the roll.
For the record, Madam President, this is the organizational meeting.
It is the organizational meeting. Thank you for that point of order. This is not our regular business meeting. This is our organizational meeting.
Okay. President Adair.
Present.
Ms. Beckerly.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
I'm here.
Mr. Cole.
Present.
Dr. Pierce.
Present.
Ms. Reyes.
Here.
And Ms. Vera.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Everyone, you please stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, board members, because this is our organizational meeting, we need to appoint a president pro temp to do the appointments and do the beginning part of the oaths. So is there a motion for a president pro temp?
Motion for Board Member Brown.
Second.
Are there additional motions? Okay, hearing none, by acclamation, the president pro temp will be Board Member Brown. Board Member Brown and I will switch seats.
I was promised this would be quick and painless. First, I'll read through the agenda. Once we adopt the agenda, we'll have our newly elected board members take her oath of office, and all three of you. Then we will elect the president and vice president for 2022. Next, we'll then approve the meeting calendar for 2022, select appointees to various roles, and adopt the evaluation schedule for the superintendent, treasurer, and internal auditor for 2022. Here in the agenda, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So
as
moved.
presented?
I got Mr. Cole. Thank you. Second.
Any opposed? This is adopted, passed by acclamation. Next is we get to right away the swearing in of our three elected school board members. Most recently elected, we're going to call on Michael Cole, Ramona Reyes, and Christina Vera. Board Member Cole? You,
Coach.
that's right. And Michael's being sworn in by Michael Bivens, Law Director in Whitehall.
Thank you. Would you raise your right hand? I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws now in effect
and within accordance of the laws now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We will call on Board Member Ramona Reyes, and she will be sworn in by Judge Eileen Paley of the Franklin County Municipal Court.
My daughter and my husband.
I, Ramona Reyes,
I, Ramona Reyes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
as a member of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws
and in accordance with the laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
And now, what might be the most exciting of these three, Christina Vera is our newly elected and newest school board member. She will be sworn in by Dr. Damaris Medina Cortez.
I, Christina Vera,
I, Christina Vera,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member
as a member
of the Columbus Board of Education
of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
in accordance with the laws
in accordance with the laws
now in effect
now in effect
and hereafter
and hereafter
to be enacted.
and to be enacted.
Christina, welcome officially. Next matter on our agenda is to turn to the election of our officers for this calendar year of 2022. We will begin with accepting any nominations from the floor for the office of president.
Motion to nominate for president, Board Member Jennifer Adair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are now closed, and let's take a roll call vote for the office of president.
Just for clarity, you're voting by name, not yea or nay, but by name. Board Member Adair,
Adair.
Board Member Beckerly,
Adair.
Board Member Brown,
Adair,
Board Member Cole,
Adair.
Board Member Dr. Pierce,
Adair.
Board Member Ragland. Oh, I am so sorry. Didn't change my list. Board Member Beckerly.
I did Adair. Reyes would be next.
Oh, I'm sorry, Board Member Reyes.
Adair.
And Board Member Vera.
Adair.
Thank you.
thank you. We will now have our treasurer administer the oath of office for Ms. Adair, who has been elected president for the year.
Thank you.
Whatever you'd like to do this.
Amy at the podium. Stand.
See if I can do this right. Okay, repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Jennifer Adair,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as president
discharge my duties as president
of the Columbus Board of Education
of the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the laws now in effect
and in accordance with the laws now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Stan.
Well, we are nearly ready to change seats.
Go
but,
ahead. You did a good job. Keep going.
At this point, we're going to go through the same process, and I'd like to open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Board Member Reyes.
Second.
I'd like a motion to nominate Dr. Tina Pierce.
Second.
Good. Any further nominations? Hearing no other nominations, nominations are closed. Mr. Treasurer, if you would please call a roll call vote for the vice president. And again, Stan can tell you, but you're going to respond with the name of either of the nominees, Dr. Pierce or Ramona Reyes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Ramona Reyes.
Mr. Brown,
Reyes.
Mr. Cole,
Reyes.
Dr. Pierce.
Dr. Pierce.
Board Member Reyes.
Reyes.
Board Member Vera.
Dr. Pierce.
That would be Board Member Reyes as the most votes.
Congratulations.
I did not vote, but I would say
Oh,
Reyes, just
hi.
for the record. It's okay, Stan.
My
I
apologies.
know. You really, truly are jet
It's
lagged.
very early in the year.
All set?
And now we can have our treasurer administer the oath of office
As
to
long as I'm
our.
still the treasurer.
Yes, you get to do this again.
Simple thing, isn't it? All set? I'm set. I, and state your name,
I, Ramona Reyes,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as Vice President
discharge my duties as Vice President
of the Columbus Board of
of
Education
the Columbus Board of Education
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and in accordance
and in accordance
with the laws now in effect
with the laws now in effect
and hereafter to be enacted.
and hereafter to be enacted.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And now we'll be switching seats, but let me just ask for one more round of applause for all of our newly elected board members and our newly elected officers.
Thank you, Board Member Brown, for serving us in that capacity. Okay, board members, next on our agenda is to approve the 2022 meeting calendar. You will have a copy of that in board docs. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Vera,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly.
Yes.
Good. Motion carried.
Okay, and item 5.6 is the resolution to adopt the evaluation schedule for the superintendent, treasurer, and internal auditor for 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Vera,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item is 5.7. It is our appointment list. So right now we have for the Ohio School Board Association Annual Conference, Dr. Tina Pierce. The alternative delegate to the Ohio State School Board Association Annual Conference is Michael Cole. Legislative liaison to the Ohio School Board Association is Eric Brown. The John E. Foster Minority Scholarship Advisory Committee liaison is Michael Cole. The Council of Great City Schools liaison is Jennifer Adair. OSBA Student Achievement liaison is Carol Beckerly. OSBA Board of Trustees is Jennifer Adair. And National Association of Elected and Appointed Official Liaisons, National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Official Liaisons is Ramona Reyes. And it should be noted that Dr. Pierce is also on our, she's the OSBA Vice Chair, President-elect. What's your title? President-elect
President
of our Central Region.
Central Region.
Yes.
So because of that, the nominee is not an alternative. They're actually, we would move tonight to seat them. Our district is unique and we get 2 representatives.
Right, so I am the trustee that's being seated. You have a seat because of the bylaws.
I have a seat because I won election through the Central Region to serve as the president-elect for the Central Region.
Correct, through
Yes.
the OSB bylaws for
Yes.
your election and yes. And then for the annual conference, for the delegates and the alternative delegates, it would be you and Michael. Okay?
As long as the records.
Yes, clear. I just want to make sure
It's
that
clear
that was
on that.
clear, because we do have quite a few seats and things for the OSBA. Okay, everyone clear?
Yes.
That is the slate of appointments. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to second.
Any discussion? Thank you. Please call the roll.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Vera,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. We'll now take a motion to adjourn our organizational meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Please call the roll. I guess I can just say we're adjourned, yes?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, and we will take a recess until 5:30, and that is when we will start our regular board meeting. And if anyone would like to take photos or talk to our new candidate or our new board members, please do so. And everyone be ready back at 5:30 to start. evening again, everyone. I am calling our January 4th regular business meeting to order. Mr. Treasurer, please call the roll.
President Adair,
Present.
Ms. Beckerly,
Present.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Cole,
I am present.
Dr. Pierce,
Here.
Vice President Reyes.
Here.
Ms. Vera,
Here.
you have a quorum?
Thank you so much. Board members, since we just did the pledge, if it's okay if we waive the pledge for this meeting? Okay, I see head nodding. All right, so on our agenda this evening, we do not have any public comment on items on the agenda. We are expecting a report from our superintendent, no report from our auditor or treasurer. We have 2 items in board matters. We have our consent agenda. We have speakers for non-agenda items, and then we have an executive session this evening. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing no objections, the agenda is now adopted. So we're going to go ahead and go right to our superintendent for her report. Good evening, Madam
Good
Superintendent.
evening. Thank you, President Adair, and welcome, Board Member Vera. As you know, today was our 2nd day back from the winter break, and it's no secret that we've been having some staffing challenges since return, and we would continue to face these issues for the foreseeable future due to the surge from the Omicron variant. We've had a portion of our school buildings have experienced a significant number of teacher and support staff who have called off, not just for COVID-related reasons, but also for the typical flu and sickness that we would see at this time of the year. As a result, we've had to transition several schools to remote learning this week. Rest assured, we do not take these decisions lightly. Our team reviews the building staffing data and consults with our area superintendents, our principals, to determine the feasibility of holding in-person classes. This collaborative process has allowed us to maintain in-person learning in most of our schools, around 100 schools, each of the past 2 days, and for the vast majority of the 48,000 students that we serve. We have shifted central office staff to many of our schools this week to support in-person instruction and building operations. We will continue to provide this additional support, but we know that this model is not sustainable if we continue to see an increasing number of teachers and staff who are absent in our school buildings. The one thing I have that's been encouraged by is the teaching and learning that's still happening in the classroom. This morning, I started my day at East High School and observed teachers there providing our high-quality instructions to our students. And we know it's not easy, so I applaud our educators, our principals, and school staff for the extraordinary efforts they're making on behalf of our students and their families. We continue to monitor the COVID data in our community and the Ohio State University CATS data and consult with our local public health experts. Our decisions related to the pandemic are always based on their guidance. Last week, in anticipation of our return from winter break, we met with these health experts, including Columbus Public Health Commissioner Dr. Mashika Roberts, Nationwide Children's Hospital pediatrician and district medical consultant Dr. Sarah Bodie, and the OSU CATS team. We were able to review the COVID data with experts alongside leadership from our labor unions. We plan to meet again with our team tomorrow to review the data for this week so we are fully informed about the trends happening in our community. We are fortunate to have a tremendous team of local public health experts to rely on during these trying times. We have 2 of those experts with us tonight via Zoom, Dr. Roberts and Dr. Bodie, to help answer any questions board members may have. And with that, I would open it up for questions for Dr. Roberts and Dr. Bodie, and then I'll return with the remainder.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. Board members? Board Member Beckerly?
Welcome, Doctors Bodie and Roberts. It's nice to see you, even if it's a little square on the Zoom I'm thrilled that this is our process and that we are relying on the experts, and I'm confident in our decision making. I just think that it might be helpful for the community if we can explain, you know, what seems a little counterintuitive, that the rates are so high and yet it's still, it was a wise decision to return the kids to school. So if you guys could just shed a little thinking about the nuances of that, so that, you know, the community who might seem a little perplexed maybe become less so when they understand the thought process behind it.
Sure. Dr. Bodie, do you want me to go first? Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year to all of you. Yes, I can imagine that might feel a little confusing to people, that we are encouraging that schools remain open while we're experiencing a very significant surge in cases. I think what we all have to realize is what Columbus City Schools has done, as well as other school districts and other employers, is they put a lot of mitigation efforts in place to help reduce the spread of the virus and to keep the students and the staff safe. And those mitigation efforts include universal masking, which Columbus City Schools has been doing since they returned to school in the fall, or really late summer of 2021. As well as encouraging and making vaccines available to their staff and to their students. As you all know, now kids as young as 5 and up are eligible for the vaccine, and anyone over the age of 16, and now I think it's 12, is eligible for a booster. And so we have a vaccination rate in the city of Columbus close to 52%. And if we look at Franklin County, we're just above 60%. And we're one of the top counties in the state to have that high of a vaccination rate. So with masking, universal masking, with vaccinations, and with cleaning and some type of social distancing to reduce interactions, as well as contact tracing, I feel like our kids are at their safest place when they are at school. And that's where they belong. And we've seen a lot of data now that has shown how this pandemic and remote learning has negatively impacted not only our kids' education attainment, but also their mental health and wellness. So I think if we continue those mitigation efforts that I described, and as long as we have staff and students who can come into the classroom, I believe that kids are safest in the classroom.
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Roberts. We are also working on quick, of course, identification of students that have any symptoms, or again, getting that information about possible exposure in the community setting, and are diligently working to continue to do that contact tracing and quick isolation and testing for those kids. And that has been another piece of mitigation strategy. And so just to say it again, that what we see is as the rate rises in the community of COVID rate cases, we see that in adults and we see it in kids. But what we have not seen with the data is that attending school has not been an independent factor to further increase those community rates. So school's really been a reflection of that community COVID rate, but not a amplifier of that. So that has been reassuring to us that if we continue to diligently work on these mitigation strategies, we can maintain in-person learning to the greatest extent, and then monitor the data, as we mentioned, weekly, to really look at what is the case rate in our community and what is the staffing availability.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Other questions? Dr. Dixon, there appears to be no more questions.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Bodie and Dr. Roberts. So next, accelerated learning presentations. So since our return to school last fall, one of the focuses across all levels has been accelerated and extending learning for students. Remote and hybrid learning presented many challenges as it relates to progress we've seen in the classroom. But it also pushed our school and district leaders to become more strategic and innovative with their approach to instruction and engagement. The resources we introduced during November's Wellness Week are an example of the initiatives I've charged our Department of Academics to create. We want students and families to recognize learning doesn't have to be limited to the classroom, and through the support of strong partnerships, we were able to provide several community-based learning opportunities. As we enter the new semester, I'm excited about the work ahead for us and the current and upcoming accelerated learning initiatives. At the school level, our principals and teachers have been mapping out strategies and submitting proposals to create new extended learning programs with an emphasis on supporting the whole child. We have several new and unique literacy-related events on the horizon. Something I know our students and families should be excited about is our new Pathway Express program that kicks off this weekend with a family and community resource day at COSI. For families that can't make it Saturday, they'll still be able to receive free admission every weekend this month. There will be a new Pathway Express experience each month at different locations throughout the city for all students and families to enjoy. All the academic enrichment and family engagement activities that we have planned over the next few months lead to our 2022 summer experience. And I've invited leaders from our academics teams to share more about this work and the role we all play in accelerating and extended learning in Columbus City Schools. So with that, I'll turn it over to our academic team. Is that Kira Slowenbach, our Chief Academic Officer?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Dixon. I think we're just waiting for the slides to go up. All right, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you again, Dr. Dixon. We're excited to be here to share some of our initiatives to really focus on extending our student learning and certainly accelerating it in response to remote learning and the pandemic. So tonight we are going to update you with what we're currently doing, then upcoming initiatives that Dr. Dixon alluded to. We're also going to make connections and explain how our accelerated and extended learning opportunities align to our strategic plan and, of course, our board goals, and then integrate any feedback or thoughts from the board as well. So as we all know, the concepts of accelerated and extended learning are not new, but they took deep root due to remote learning and the impact of the pandemic on learning in general. And one of the first research-based responses that came out shortly after remote learning was that of priority standards. And national math and ELA standards were analyzed and identified to really help teachers have a laser-like focus on the foundational concepts that are required per content area. And we really leaned into guidance around priority standards, and hopefully you'll see that in the initiatives we'll share tonight as well. Another research component also showed that the most effective ways to mitigate learning loss was engagement. We know that in large part some of the struggles that our families and our students experience were due to that remote learning and their inability to be as engaged as they can in in-person learning. So we're very focused on responding to that research and aligning our initiatives to engagement. MTSS framework was started. We developed our framework and published it prior to the pandemic. But we also know, and it was certainly illustrated in the pandemic, both what we saw personally here with Columbus City Schools, but also in the research, which is that social emotional component is just as critical to the academic component. And our MTSS framework includes both that social emotional behavioral support as well as the academic support. But also we'll see in the initiatives tonight that we are partnering with Dr. Blue's team and really focusing on providing wraparound and whole student support and whole person support when it comes to our staff as well. And then lastly, this is another component on engagement, speaks specifically to engaging our families and our student support systems. So you'll see opportunities for our family to increase their engagement, just like Dr. Dixon referenced with our community events throughout this second semester, like at COSI and other ones that Kenny will share. This slide indicates our research, so it's here for you to also have access to. And next we will hear from Kenny Lee. Oh, I'm sorry, no, we're not. So the Power of One, and this was illustrated so well by our communications team in our strategic plan publication, but it spoke to all of us in academic services. And each of the accelerated and extended learning strategies shared this evening has an opportunity to include everyone so that we move our students and grow them. It will take all of us. And we wanted to ensure that that alignment and that opportunity to the strategic plan. One of a kind experiences are also critical. We know we need to respond to 47,000 students' needs, and these programs that you'll hear about tonight really focus on the opportunity to engage all of our staff in that support and also have out-of-the-box creative experiences that are truly one of a kind to promote and accelerate learning. And now I will pass it over to Kenny.
Thanks, Kara. This diagram or this visual speaks to presentation outcome number 2 and how accelerated and extended learning is directly connected to the Power of One, the district strategic plan, and the 3 board goals: strengthen reading proficiency, closing opportunity gaps, and developing portrait-ready graduates. And so you'll see here, we are taking the latter approach, and it's the same approach that is used, that we are using for the board to accomplish their goals, using a ladder approach with the interim goals laddering up into the overall outcomes for the 3 board goals. And we're using that same approach. So at the bottom of the ladder, we have Power On, which I'll describe in more detail in a second, but that looks at achievement, engagement, and whole child. And then stepping up from there, we have the Pathway Express, which provides extended learning opportunities for not just students, but for families. And that is themed. Each month has a specific theme that will then ladder up to summer experience. Incorporated into the Pathway Express, we have the family literacy events, which is directly tied to board goal 1, strengthening reading proficiency. And we not only want to increase the individual achievement of our students, but we also know it's not just teachers and administrators and classified staff who are working to develop our students' reading skills. It takes a family. It takes the Power of One, like Kara mentioned. And then that will lead into summer experience. And just like last year's summer experience, where we had a lot of participation, a lot of engagement, that was the focus of our summer experience. We're going to continue that with this year, and even going bigger, as Dr. Dixon likes to say. We're going to go bigger with this summer experience, which will then lead to the 22-23 school year. So that first step is Power On, and it is an initiative that right now, as of today, there's more than 575 Power On proposals that have been submitted across the 6 regions by administrators, by certificated and classified staff to, again, support the achievement engagement, to support all of our students. These include proposals include tiered lesson planning, where our teachers are diving deep into the data and developing personalized lessons that are really tailored to the needs of the individual student. Some of them are focused on student family engagement, and even at the school level, creating after-school events, weekend events that really strengthens the school community. We're looking at learning and resource development. Some of the proposals speak to developing new courses within our Canvas learning management system at all grade levels. Another great one that we looked at today was transition planning and support. There was one that spoke to supporting transitions between kindergarten and first graders, and how the teachers at kindergarten and first grade will collaborate and really work to ensure that the kindergarten first grade transition of our students is successful. Again, it also includes student empowerment. There are clubs across all 6 regions that are being created as we speak, cross-grade collaborations, interdisciplinary lessons, ELL support. We have proposals that are supporting unified arts and strengthening the art exposure and music exposure for our students. And even junior ROTC, there was a proposal that wanted to broaden and expand our junior ROTC experiences beyond the school day, which is really exciting. One of the things we really want to emphasize is that every full-time classified and certificated staff have access to extra service and extended time. And again, it speaks to the power of one. This is everyone has the opportunity to contribute to our students' success. Again, this is the 575 proposals incorporate 98 schools and programs. And so you will see broad involvement across Columbus City Schools for these Power On proposals. We've seen regional collaboration, and some of these proposals even span the regions, creating a connectedness that we've never seen before. And also community partnerships, both large scale with our large partners like I Know I Can and City Year, down to individual community members who have been incorporated into some of the school-based Power On proposals. And then we also have a comprehensive program evaluation system where every proposal will have one qualitative measure of success and one quantitative measure of success that we will use in conjunction actually with The Ohio State University and our internal team to really evaluate the success of Power On and to look at how we can continue these programs into the following year. The next program from Power On is the Pathway Express. And the Pathway Express provides monthly extended learning opportunities. Like Dr. Dixon said, this month is COSI. And then we also have opportunities with the Columbus Museum of Art and other exciting off-site opportunities for our families to go to. We're providing transportation. This month at COSI, our families will be able to take home a learning kit that we'll be able to do together at home. And again, we're partnering with family and community engagement to provide a variety of family support services. We've created a school toolkit to help promote Pathway Express at the school level. And again, we have themes that are going to resonate also in summer experience. So STEM, fine arts, entrepreneurship, world language, and family consumer science. And these are the same themes that students will see in summer school. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Kelly Rivers.
Thank you, Kenny. So one of the exciting things that we are planning is our family literacy events, and we'll talk about the first bullet point. Our district level literacy specialists will provide reading activities aligned to grade level instruction to all of our CCS families attending the Pathway Express event. So they will be there to answer questions, provide instructional advice, and also provide families additional resources to support literacy acquisition at home. Each family attending will receive a curated resource kit, as Kenny talked about, that is specifically designed for the grade level of the students who reside in that particular family. So these resources will also remain available during the month at the Pathway Express locations that were previously mentioned, COSI, Columbus Museum of Art, North Market, etc. And so as we leave these resources, we will provide online sessions to our families that cannot attend on the second Saturday of each month, but can attend on any other weekend date during that month. In regards to the second bullet point, this is one that is extremely exciting and we're very passionate about. So research shows that 61% of families in low-income households have no books at all in their homes for their children. And even more alarming, in middle-income neighborhoods, the ratio of books per child is 13:1. But in low-income neighborhoods, the ratio for age-appropriate books is 1 for every 300 children. And additionally, 1 in every 4 children, they grow up without learning how to read, unfortunately. But research shows that there is definitely a major light at the end of this tunnel. Research shows that the most successful way to improve the reading achievement of low-income students is to increase their access to print. Research also shows that one measure that consistently correlates significantly with reading scores is the number of books that are in the home. Children who read just 20 minutes per day at home are exposed to over 2 million words per year. CCS Building Home Libraries will tackle this statistic dead on by providing all students pre-K through 12 books each month to build their personal home libraries. These books will be delivered to each building per month and then distributed at home. So K-8 packs will come with 5 books and activities, and I don't know if you can see it. This is just an example for students to do at home. And then the 9-12 students will receive at least 1 novel each month along with activities for students to do at home. Our K-5 packs will have a text aligned to the Pathway Express theme of the month. These are texts that are both, that we were going to purchase for our students, will both be a mirror, which allows students to see a direct reflection of themselves in what they are reading, and a window. And that means providing them the opportunity to envision a world beyond their own. This directly impacts the culture of CCS and the families who reside in our district. Providing home libraries in each of these homes will impact each of our students and will impact each of our families who attend Columbus City Schools. This is a matter of equity and access. And as a district, we will directly impact these dismal statistics, not just for some, but for all of our CCS families. Our district literacy specialists, which we have 2 in elementary and 1 in secondary, along with our program specialists, are working with our communications department on a hashtag to engage families on social media to establish an additional communication avenue to inform us on the impact that we know these home libraries will make. This ESSER opportunity provides us not only the ability to dream big, but to impact big. And then finally, the last bullet point, our district literacy specialists are going to be able to provide live and pre-recorded sessions on the activities that are in the home library packs, as well as the curated resource kits they will receive by attending Pathway Express events. They'll also work with our building coaches to provide local support for families, as we know this is a critical component of following up with our families in each neighborhood. I'll now turn it over to Leslie Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Our Pathway Express will provide a glimpse into our CCS summer experience. Our summer experience begins June 21st and will run for 6 weeks through July 28th. It is Monday through Thursday, with our K-8 students attending from 8:30 to 1, and our 9-12 students attending from 7:30 to 1. This summer, we are excited to share, we are expanding our project-based authentic learning through 5 unique pathways that Kenny shared earlier. And each of these pathways are intentionally integrate our Portrait of a Graduate attributes, where we will begin to help our students develop these attributes into habits of mind. We will also have credit recovery available, as well as acceleration opportunities for our high school students, both digitally and face-to-face. All of our programs, all of our pathways and our locations, and you will notice that we have 13 regional locations, and I'm going to discuss our partners a little bit later because that's very, very exciting. At each of those locations, we will have inclusive special education and ESL opportunities for our students, as well as that intentional focus on the whole child that Kira mentioned earlier. We will have daily intentional SEL lessons provided by our counselors, Transportation is provided. We will have regional pickup and drop-off sites, as well as we will continue to have breakfast and lunch served for our families. One of the things that continue to be very exciting is that our CCS families will be able to register for this fantastic programming at no cost. So we are so excited that our families will be able to do that and register at no cost. We have our, I want to share those dates with you. Our teacher application, well, first our registration happens on March 15th. So all of our students were able to register live on March 15th. And our teacher application, so last year we had such a great experience. Our teachers really had the opportunity to engage in something new and different that for a number of them, they just talked about and shared how it helped to rejuvenate them after what was a difficult year. And so our teacher application, we're very excited, goes live the week of February 1st, or the first week of February. And we will have notification for our teachers and our administrators that have been selected to be part of our summer experience by April 4th. So those are, we have applications coming up for teachers. And then again, we have that registration for families can register their students beginning on March 15th. And remember, this is, again, no cost to all of our CCS families. Okay, when we look, and I was so excited about this slide. So if you remember, last year we had a couple of really great partners that continued to really be supportive throughout the year, but then really worked with us over the summer. And we currently have 12 partners that are already working with us through this summer experience to help us bring this to fruition. That is 10 new partners. And we highlighted some of those partners that have already signed on. We have the Ohio Hispanic Coalition. We have Columbus Museum of Art. You'll see Franklin Park Conservatory and COSI still there. 2nd and 7, Give Back Hack, Aventi Enterprises, Junior Achievement. You can read and look through all of those. But I always say when you have an increase of people who want to jump in and support and be part of that, that's because you're doing something right. And people want to be invested in the work that's happening. So with that being said, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Kira to wind us up.
Thank you, Leslie and team. So we are, as you can tell, really excited about these opportunities for our students and our staff. And lastly, I want to reiterate what Leslie noted in relationship to summer experiences. We have our Portrait of a Graduate pilots happening in our buildings, and we really see summer experience as an opportunity to broaden those pilots and embed our competencies and the Portrait of a Graduate into our ecosystem as a district, both for our teachers, our building leaders, and also our students. So we're excited that summer experience will be an additional opportunity to really grow our Portrait of a Graduate and embed our competencies and opportunities for students. And Dr. Dixon, I will pass it back to you. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. So board members, you see where we took the opportunity from last summer. Remember, we were talking about how do we get students excited about learning again because they were in cohorts, and we wanted to make sure that when they return to school excited. So last summer, when you shared and gave me the go-ahead, green light to say we can expand our summer opportunity and not have a summer school that's based on remediation, but really have a summer program that really demonstrated the power of partners. Partners came together, and we had something special for almost 8,000 kids. And that's where the momentum started. It started last summer. And so we took those experiences, as the team has outlined, and said, how can we accelerate that through a strategy, give more teachers and staff members the opportunity to create ways to connect to students? Because we have seen that our students have not been connected with our staff, and this, through the blessing of ESSER dollars, gave us the opportunity to allow everyone to come together with some ideas that they are able to submit their proposals to allow for accelerated learning to happen. And as the students, as our team stated, then the culminating event is summer school, right? So it's something that will start now, but they see more of it in summer school. So we're anticipating double, if not triple, the numbers, because we were doing things that kids are excited about. And I think that's the power of this. I remember going to Spruce Run this summer, and the little pre-K and kindergarten students had me in the creek, you know, and they were showing, they had these little nets, and one little boy said, "Hey, I got a rock." And he was so excited about his rock, right? And they had little boots, but they were understanding their environment, and they were not afraid of the water. And it was really exciting what our students were engaging in and learning. So I was really happy about they were experiencing, and it was a learning and had some outcomes with that. So just really excited about that, and we're going to see more of that. So thank you to our team for this presentation. We know there are going to be some questions, yes, for if any of you guys have any questions for our team about the proposal, they're here and we'll be able to answer those for you.
Okay, we do have questions. We are going to start with Board Member Cole, then Beckerly.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few. Thank you. I'm really excited about the summer experience piece, and more particularly about the opportunity to recover credit. I think we should make sure that these experiences always integrate opportunities for students to advance themselves on the credit scale towards graduation. So I'm really hyped about that. Thank you. With that in mind, what does the program overall, what does this experience overall have capacity to entertain, to provide for total number of students?
So that, in large part, this will depend on our staffing and when we get our teacher applications in, but it's certainly our goal to be able to support 10,000 students this summer.
Thank you for that. Okay.
So teachers listening, be ready, because we're excited.
You mentioned that there's a March 15th application that will go out. How do we intend to, will we do the same robo-dialer, Infinite Campus? What are those modalities?
We will, all of those. So we certainly will use a dialer, we'll email through the parent portal. We will look to partner again with student engagement and have engagement sessions to really ensure that our families have the information so that they're able to register.
And I'm really asking about that as somebody who had at one point in time young children that we were always planning for summer experiences for. Typically March is like, you're late. You're late and you're out of the game. Will there be some sort of communications buildup that continues to let parents constantly know that this opportunity is coming so it can be engaged aggressively?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. I think I've asked all mine. I have one left, and this is to the superintendent as well. Are we still trying to advocate for, between the legislature and the governor's office, these opportunities for us to be very flexible with remote learning? Contrary to what common credence may very well be because of research, I really believe that there are quite a number of kids that maybe weren't identified as having done very well during remote learning. My own kid was one of them. Are we still advocating for that opportunity to be flexible and expansive with that program so that we can actually recover students who otherwise, for bullying, social issues, what have you, concern about COVID, could actually, utilize that program?
Yeah, we're still advocating along with other districts on the flexibility. Still waiting for some support from that legislative support. Most schools, districts want their kids in, in school and give you some flexibility on some online courses like post-secondary option courses or courses at college. So we are pushing for more flexibility. We thought we were going to be able to do a more robust pilot this year, and some things were changed, some shifts were made. So yes, the advocacy is still there. And as we're in this process of creating what the future of our schools look like, and that we're planning some flexibility in our new models, thinking about not only the space, but the time. I think that's something that we have to entertain too. What time of day do our students take their courses? And so time and place is definitely something that we're considering.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Board Member Beckerly.
Can we go back to the latter slide? I think that means Dr. Lee is up. Although this is probably a more general question. And this is picking up what Michael was just saying about the recruitment process. And for the first time when I just kind of connected when I looked at this, is part of the concept here is that all of these things we're doing now is building interest in the summer program? Like we're hoping to get families engaged in these literacy events because we're starting to connect and then bring them into the fold sort of thing?
Kind of a build-up of hype around the summer experience, as Board Member Cole referenced. But I also think it's an opportunity to align all of these strategies, and they're not just random, that we want to illustrate that they are connected and that they lead ultimately not just the summer experience, but they lead to the 22-23 school year. And so when you think about where we are in January, that learning, engagement, acceleration will occur from January through the summer and into August to that first day of school for the 22-23 school year. And so we really wanted to not just recruit and get participants, but we also wanted to make sure that the strategies build upon one another, and so that we can maximize student achievement.
Yeah, I guess I didn't mean recruit in just the simplest sense of the word, but more I see it sort of as a building momentum kind of thing. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I'd be interested in seeing, and I've said this on different fronts before. I've said this on transportation. I've said it on substitute teaching. Like, this is all exciting stuff, and it's exciting to hear you talk about all of these things and all of the momentum and all of the excitement. I'd like to see how we're tracking it. And I'd very much like to see a chart, like, it seems to me, and maybe this is way too much, but that we could have down to the high school, down to the building, down to the, this is happening here. It seems to me there's some way we could do a spreadsheet. And then, did it work? Didn't it work? Are we happy with it? Are we expanding it? I very much, we'd almost prefer, like, going forward, that's just the kind of update we get. And maybe we get it at the board room. Maybe we get it attached to our Friday afternoon thing. Because, to some extent, while I love these slides and the enthusiasm and all of it, I feel like we're taking up your time doing this sort of thing when we really want to see what's happening. So I would encourage a way, now that we know and we've seen it all, let's try to just keep track of the progress, what the results are. And then the last thing, and this is, I'm wandering into the advice giving stage, but the program goes, the summer program goes till 1. And it occurs to me now that we're talking about this early enough, there may be some opportunities to find partners who could pick up with the kids. I know there was a Freedom School possibility at some point we talked about. It was kind of too late to get it up and running, but community development for all people, some of the Ys, the aftercare program, our LECs. Let's see if they can pick up the kids at 1 and keep them until 5 and maybe keep them on that Friday. so that we're not eliminating from our pool of applicants parents who need all-day care. And to the extent that our partners are already aligned with us and doing all the same things, it even amplifies the SEL and the other things that presumably we're all on the same page about anyway. So I just wanted to, don't tell AJ. Okay. That's all I got.
Thank you. We're going to go Dr. Pierce and then Board Member Rivera.
Oh, thank you so much for this presentation and for the additional thoroughness that was given to some of the bullet points. Very much appreciated. So I want to take us back to, I guess, the guest speakers that came on to talk about COVID. That being a part of your executive report to have Dr. Bodie and Dr. Roberts come to speak about COVID. I want to ask a couple of questions that are aimed directly at how our schools are responding to COVID. So my first question, as we are starting to kind of get these numbers in for what schools are going remote, and let me just add, as I'm sitting here looking at the dashboard right now, I think we're doing a great job of giving that information in advance and letting families know what schools will be remote, what programs and what evening programs will be canceled or held. Can you speak to the threshold for teacher attendance that is key in determining whether or not a building will be remote or in person?
We do not have a, well, the thresholds are determined building by building.
Given that the thresholds are determined building by building, have we adjusted, or when have we adjusted those thresholds to account for student enrollment numbers this year, to account for potential expected COVID numbers and cases that may happen?
Yeah, we're just adjusting those numbers based on a lot of factors, but primarily the staffing. It's really a staffing issue. If we have staff available to teach students, then we make those determinations, but it's largely based on staff. We know some schools have, school A may have 200 students with 15 staff members, for example. School B may have a school with 300 with 10 staff. So it just depends on the staffing, which is our largest determinant.
And again, we can't speak to whether or not it is a correlation to a percentage to say if 20% of the teaching staff is out, that determines our decision. Do we say if 20% of our classes are going to be, I don't want to say unsupervised because they are supervised, right, but if they are going to be held in such a way that it's just kids sitting in an auditorium for 2 or 3 hours, is that the determining factor? We can't say that there's a specific threshold that helps us make this decision.
Yeah. So again, we are making our determination based on the number of students we have, the courses that are taught, and the adults that we have that are teaching.
How are we doing with substitutes?
Clarify.
In regard, are we able to attract and get substitutes to come in yesterday, today, throughout the duration of this week? Are we seeing that we don't have substitutes that are calling back in to accept our offers to come into the building?
Yeah, we have our staffing issues are across our subs and our permanent staff members. This is, we're in a pandemic, so a lot of people are very careful about choosing to come in the school building, even though we have our mitigation strategies in place. We have some building subs in many buildings, so many buildings have building subs who are committed and continue to work, but we have seen some of our substitute teachers, substitute administrators, substitute custodians, et cetera, across all of our classifications who have decided that they do not want to work in schools at this time, especially if we've seen the increasing numbers.
It's my understanding that we've taken some additional extra steps as early as the first day of school to ensure that our staff had additional resources to promote safety in the building. Could you share what 1 or 2 of those strategies were? I think it was the fitted mask,
Yeah, you mean when we initially went back in COVID, or yes,
this past week.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Pierce. So our nurses had an opportunity to get the fitted, was an N95 mask. So we made sure all of our nurses have those. We also have yesterday provided over almost 40,000 masks to our buildings for our teachers, our KN, I think it's KN90 and KN95 mask. Trying to see who's wearing one, similar to what Beckerly is wearing. We were able to provide those to our staff members. And to your point, we wanted to make sure that our staff members have all of the PPE that we are providing that for all of our staff members. Again, extra masks for our students as well. Make sure that there are masks on our school buses. Make sure we have our sanitizers. And making sure our custodians are actually going back, making sure those classrooms are sanitized, et cetera. So yes, since we came back from the holidays, we had to make sure, because we've been gone for winter break, that we had all those mitigation strategies and all the PPE available for all of our team members.
And as parents are looking at the dashboard and potentially seeing a lag in data, is there an anticipated expected date at which they can see more updated information in regards to our attendance for the students that are out, for the breakfasts and lunches that are being served?
Yes, so we do, thank you. So we had that 2-week lag that we were out. So this is our first week back. So we can anticipate data next week, and that would be this week's data.
Awesome. Thank you for those questions. The next couple of questions I have are related to our Power On strategy. I think it's great that you all are sharing the number of proposals that we're getting. So of the 575 proposals, is there a difference between a proposal and an actually approved program? Or are we accepting all proposals?
We're accepting all proposals, and I can have the academic team speak to specific specific actions that we're making. Kenny?
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. Thank you, Dr. Pierce. So yes, you're exactly right. So when a proposal is made, it is not automatically approved. We want to ensure alignment to several things, including the district strategic plan, the board goals, and even down to the school improvement plans. So we want to make sure that what teachers are submitting, what classified, what administrators are submitting aligns to the work that is in place, or the district priorities that include engagement, that include wellness. We want to make sure that there's strong alignment there.
Question then relates to these proposals that are coming through, and I think it's great that we're making that proposal form available. Is that proposal form available to community partners online so they too can submit proposals, or do they have to go through our portal? And I ask that question because as I think about how we're responding to COVID, if there's a community partner that may be able to provide additional after-school tutoring that is socially distanced and spaced, or to be able to provide extension and differentiation for lesson plans, are we capturing those proposals as well?
There's actually a specific part in the proposal for community partners, for schools to connect with community partners and for community partners to connect with schools. So when that connection is made, the proposal will be made by the school or by the teacher, or by the administrator, but we can certainly, and we have certainly captured both individual community partners that have worked, that are currently working with schools, and larger groups like City Year, I Know I Can, community organizations, faith-based organizations. Those are all have been included in approved proposals.
So just to clarify for our community again, what I hear you saying is that if our community members, our community partners are interested in engaging with the project, they have to be invited by the teacher or by the school to be made aware of this opportunity.
That's one way, but they could certainly, community partners could also reach out to schools, and schools could reach out to community partners and really build out and broaden the Power On proposals. So again, the power of one, not just internally, but also externally.
Okay, I just hope we're advertising this a lot, because I've talked to a lot of teachers and really I see lunch ladies and custodians and office workers as educators in our building as well. So I don't want to say I've just talked to a lot of teachers. I've talked to a lot of our educators, and a lot of them are unaware of it. So if they're unaware of it in the building, I just want to make sure that our community members are also aware of this opportunity as well. My last question then relates to summer school. I'm super excited that we have a 31% increase in enrollment opportunities. So I hope I'm getting that right, because last year we had, based on my numbers, we had 7,636 students in. This year we're expecting 10,000. So excited about the 31% increase. Are we holding seats for our seniors or our juniors that may be looking to graduate early, or our seniors that may need to get that extra credit, that for whatever reason in the fourth quarter something happened, and they might not get that credit that they need in traditional school settings? So are we holding a certain number of seats for those students that really need those recovery credit hours?
Dr. Pierce, we were able to support all of the students that were credit deficient for June graduation, and we were able to support them and provide them with the opportunity to earn those credits. And we saw through our August graduation numbers, many of these students from last year that did not make it across the June graduation stage made it across in August. And the students that didn't make it in August, we're currently working with them right now for non-grads to get them across the stage as well. So we have multiple layers of support for those students you specifically referenced that may miss that credit that they need to graduate, but we definitely have a support structure in place, both virtual and in-person support.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. Board Member Vera.
Hi, so I just have two quick questions. And it's Kenny, right? Is it Kenny? Okay.
It is, yep.
Great. So it's related to the Power On. I am very excited to see, the number of proposals. I guess my question is how are we kind of managing or overseeing how many sites are receiving these programs? With our large district, half of, this 500 could be in one building. So are we really looking at the educational equity of making sure that all of our sites are receiving some additional level of engagement through the Power On program?
Thank you for the question, and it's a great question. And equity is something that we're definitely focusing on. When the program first started and the proposals were starting to come in, we saw certain schools submitting proposals, and we intentionally reached out to those schools and to those administrators and teachers, and to Board Member Pierce's point, all of these staff within buildings, and we can certainly advertise and push it out more as this broadens out. But to ensure that, to really get the message out that everybody has an opportunity to submit Power On proposals. And like I mentioned, 98 schools and programs across the district have submitted at least one, and many of the schools submitting multiple. And I would even say this, with the way the structure is set up, even schools that on the surface look like they've submitted one, that one proposal may include the entire school. And it may include multiple people working together on that single proposal that was submitted. So to your point, Board Member, it's equity and ensuring that all students have access to opportunities is at the top of the list with Power On.
Thank you. And then lastly, I was very, very excited about the summer experience. My son actually did participate, and he absolutely loved it. And I think the unique opportunity, my son is a special learner, and he needs a lot of additional support services. And I felt like summer experience really gave him the opportunity to receive a lot of the services he didn't really get virtually. And so I often think about our kiddos who are, needing those extra support services. So I just wanted to be mindful of, just as we're building out summer experiences, making sure we're working with our occupational therapists, our speech therapists, because ultimately, we have all different types of learners that do join the summer experience. and my son loved it. So I just wanted to say kudos to last summer because that was awesome. One question I did have, I know with our new partnership with the Columbus Promise with Columbus State Community College, I didn't see them listed as a partner for our summer experience, and I was curious as to if they are in fact partnering with us, because I think that would be a great gateway to getting our high schoolers more, engaged with the Columbus State community, especially now that we are in process of that partnership.
Board Member Vera, thank you so much for your question. What we shared with you was a list of current partners. We are still developing those partnerships and those opportunities for partnerships. So we will definitely make sure to connect and see how we can, as Kenny referenced earlier, make those connections all along the way. So with that Columbus Promise, look for those ways to draw those students into taking advantage of that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I had a few comments. First, I echo a lot of what my colleagues have said. I really want to lean in just because on Board Member Beckerly's point about the data. Because what I want to know as a board member is the number of families and students that participate in all these events, how is that helping our reading proficiency go up? I want to see the return on our investment. And that's what we're talking about. And we know that's not tomorrow because these things haven't started. But if we can go into this with that mindset that that's the kind of data the board is looking for, how is what we're doing, spending our money, the programs we're doing, how is that actually getting us better reading results or closing the gaps? Are we following the kids? Talk about equity. Those kids, those students that really need. Are we following and watching and making sure that they are doing these things and we're pushing and then we're seeing that progress for them, right? So that's the kind of data I think that we are looking for to really establish the return on investment for specifically reading, gap closing, and the portrait. The other thing I want to talk about is this is just, and I know Dr. Blue is going to work with us more on this, our definition of equity versus equality. We have to get that straight. Equality means the same opportunity for everyone, which we want. Equity is giving resources in a way to give people what they need to get to equality. So equity is not having a program in every building. I know that seems weird.
Yeah.
That's actually equality. So sometimes we need more programs in a building because that helps us get eventually to the point that we're trying to get to, and that's one of these goals. And so that helps us reach equality. So I know, Dr. Blue, I know we're going to have something scheduled we're going to do a deeper dive, but we have to watch our words, board members, and making sure, and team, because you guys did it too. These principles are really important to us. We need to make sure we're all using the same terminology. The last thing I want to point out, because none of my colleagues did, this is all great. The thing that I think made me most excited, to be quite honest, was the building the home libraries. Because that's one of those pieces that we know that when as a young child you have access to books, it's one of those things that produces privilege or underprivilege. And so I'm so happy that we're able to do that. And there's other programs like the Dolly Parton Library and all of that you can get from I think up to 5 years old. But this is just excellent. So I love that idea, and I just wanted to kind of just do a little kudos on that. From my, personal experience in the world of DEI. So that's great. Are there any additional, Board Member Beckerly?
One quick thing. I agree with everything Jen just said, but I did want to acknowledge that part of the step in getting to are we actually going to have increased reading scores is sometimes just straight up engaging families. So while ultimately we are going to want to see the improvement in the reading score, if part of this family literacy event in the Pathway Express is just increasing participation and getting families involved and building community on some level, but such that we get 10,000 kids in the summer experience, that's data that will be encouraging to us and considered a plus. I just want to make sure that we understand that we gotta engage first before they're going to learn.
Baby steps. It's got to go in baby steps.
Yep.
Yep. Ultimately, it gets to that reading, but you know how we measure it is really important throughout. Okay, looks like
Okay, all
there's
right,
no.
thank you. Yep, that ends my report for this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dixon and team. All right, before we jump into the board matters, I do want to give board members a second. Because Dr. Roberts was on first, so I didn't have you all talk first like I told you that I was going to let you do. So we're going to come back to that really quick and just one of the things that is really important to me is to make sure that we, as your governing team, do that as a team. That doesn't mean we always agree, and we shouldn't, because we each carry a piece of diversity that's included in how we discuss and process and really push each other to come up with, you know, the best strategies and help our team do that. So I want to give each of the board members just a moment to kind of talk about, you know, things that they are committed to doing, committed to the team, things maybe they're excited about. But I just wanted to, because this is the beginning of our board year, and so we get to govern together for 2 years as a team. And so I just want to give you all just a brief opportunity, and especially for those that were sworn in tonight, just a moment to address our team. And so we're going to give everyone an opportunity. If you don't want to, you can just say I don't want to. But we're going to ask you to please keep it like 2 minutes. I'm going to actually start with, I think we'll go seniority first. So we'll go Vice President.
Not by age.
Not by age, by length of
Yeah,
service.
definitely not by
Just kidding. I'm close. Thank you, President Adair, for this opportunity. So I wrote it down to make sure I try to stay within reason.
I'll stay on time you. He's got a nice little.
Don't time me. So first I want to say,
that last meeting.
so I'll go quickly. So thank God for granting me the desire to serve our community, especially our children, in this capacity, not only as a re-elected board member, but as thank you to my colleagues for the opportunity to serve as vice president. I'm grateful for my mother and my father, Hector and Maria Reyes, who worked as migrant workers on farms and fields across America, as they provided for me and my siblings a great example of hard work. I'm grateful for the continuous support of my husband, Pastor John Coates, and my daughter, Carrington, my sister, Maricela, nieces, Maite and Esperanza, my in-laws, John and Renee Coates, that are extremely engaged in our community and in our schools, and in memory of my late mother-in-law, who we lost just a few months ago, Miss Daisy P. Coates, who served our district for over 30 years as a teacher and librarian. In addition, I'm grateful for my treasurer, Michaela Johnson, and my staff, Diana Pagan, Israel Naheda in graphics, and every campaign volunteer, OPSI, CEA, Franklin County Democratic Party, and all who took the time to exercise their right and to vote. I honor all of the Columbus Board of Education members, past and present, whom I have served with and will serve with for the next 4 years. Our district has faced one of the most difficult times in our history. In fact, we are still attempting to navigate through the uncharted waters as new challenges confront us daily from the fallout of the pandemic. I'm committed to fervently and diligently seek solutions for the many challenges we must confront. We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own. So I ask for continued prayers for your involvement with the schools and the children of Columbus City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Cole.
Thank you, Madam President. I am thankful again to, as my God as well, the opportunity to serve a third term here in the Columbus City Schools. I want to thank my family. I want to thank our family internally here, to our CEA teachers and our OPSI brothers and sisters for their contribution and support to my campaign, their endorsement. I thank you deeply for that. I'll say it very briefly that I am laser focused on our mission statement that each child is highly educated, prepared for leadership and service, and empowered for success as citizens of the global community. I want to ensure in doing that we are laser focused on identifying new opportunities for funding, new opportunities for identifying revenue sources that actually help us expand and become more relevant, not only to our students and staff in the building, but also to addressing community issues that are impacting the whole child. the whole child. That means their family, that means the neighborhoods that they live in. I wanted to ensure that we are relevant in our spaces that we have available, whether they're mothballed or whether we're reimagining them. The opportunities to solve relevant issues and partner in relevant ways, sustainable long-run ways that build community and build families and build children. I just want to make sure that we are successful in our endeavors collectively to make Portrait of a Graduate something that works, again, something that is sustainable, something that improves from any grade strata the opportunities for students to succeed, and in fact, exceed. So with that in mind, again, I just thank each and every one of you for your service and commitment, and I look forward to serving another term.
Thank you. Board Member Brown.
Thank you. I guess it doesn't take long to move up the ranks of seniority of service to this board. I will tell you, I truly love this work of serving as a school board member. This work provides great people to work with, whether that's our administrators, our teachers, our staff, my colleague friends serving on the board, and my previous experience in Mayfield was the same thing. I just loved the collegiality and the purpose. Everybody has an important purpose that they know, and it shows, and that is to do the best they could for kids and to make sure that we all value public education. Just as my dad was a role model to me, having served 8 years on the Mayfield School Board before I had done so, I know that both Marilyn and I have been good role models to our daughters and our grandchildren. We are all about public and community service. And as a result, our older daughter is president of her school board in Gahanna, and she dove into public service in a way that I never imagined that I would when I was young. And our younger daughter, too, loves being engaged in community service and working with people. Those things bode well for the future of our school children, our 47,000 kids here in Columbus, because we need to not only love them and show them how important education is, and to teach them that there are things in life that are more important than earning the most money. Although if that's what they want to do, they get a good education from our schools, they can pursue that. But I think that the opportunity that this community has provided to me at this stage of my career has been wonderful and has allowed me to continue to work with my three passions, my three loves, which are community service, public service, kids, and learning, education. So thank you.
Thank you. The next are actually Dr. Pierce and Board Member Beckerly tied for the next with me. So we're going to go in alphabetic order. Let's go Board Member Beckerly.
I'm approaching this entirely differently, which is just to say that my plan is to crack the whip on student outcome focused governance, because I think that's the pathway to changing outcomes for our kids. So that's my thoughts at the moment, and that's where I'm heading, and I'm going to continue to doggedly pursue it.
Thank you. Dr. Pierce. I think that's the shortest I've ever heard Board Member Beckerly talk.
All right. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. She will do a comeback.
Go ahead.
He's not done.
All right, interesting. So, first, let me take this opportunity just to thank our staff, our students, our caregivers, and our community. I am a servant above all. And so I don't see this as an opportunity that I've been placed here. Our community has placed us here to do this work. And so I want to reiterate that and thank, again, our staff, students, caregivers, and community members. As we sit here, we are in the midst of a pandemic that is wreaking havoc on our communities in ways that it did not when we even shut down. And so we face a number of challenges in advancing student learning on remote platforms when we know that students want to be in person. We face the challenge of providing transportation to our Career Center students when their schools close and go remote, knowing that their schools are closed and going remote, knowing that we have a driver shortage. At the same time, while we face those challenges and tackle them on a daily basis, we also are presented with opportunities to ensure that our students are given the technologies and resources that they need to be successful, opportunities to provide our staff with resources and additional financing so they can actually execute the program that they've been wanting to do since they entered into a school building, opportunities to expand opportunities for our caregivers and community members so they can partner alongside of us in educating the students in this community. While we have those opportunities, we also still face threats. Last year, we lost a number of our students, whether they were current students, alumni of our district, to senseless violence. We lost their family members. So in this moment of what we plan to do and how we plan and want to give thanks, I plan to, each time I see one of our students, one of our caregivers, let them know that they're heard and appreciated, and that every day I'm praying for them and that we don't lose them to senseless violence. That in my work as an elected official, I'm making sure that people understand the value of each and every person in our community. It's quite interesting that no matter what television you turn on, everybody is saying the safest place for our kids is in a school building. Well, they're not in our school buildings 24 hours a day. We need to make our community safe as well. So that's another thing that I think I'm laser focused on, making sure that our community is safe, that all of our community members are valued. And so at the local level, within our district, I will continue to listen and seek understanding, to advocate for what's best for our district, be it educators, be it students, be it caregivers, our community partners. You have somebody who is wanting to hear your side of the story, wanting to understand what we can do to be better. On the state level, as president-elect of our Central Region for the Ohio School Board Association, I will ensure that they understand the value of public education and the role that our district plays as the largest district in the state of Ohio. Working collaboratively with my colleagues and our administration and staff, we will continue to establish ourselves as thought leaders, as leaders in best practices, as leaders who are willing to be innovative and are also humble enough that when we make a mistake, we can say that we did it, here's where we went wrong, and here's where we will improve. On that state level, I will continue to advance and advocate for equity. Again, as the largest district in the state, we just can't sit by and say that we have restrooms that are open, or we have non-gender conforming restrooms, and that our students that are a part of the LGBTQA plus community have safe spaces if all of our students throughout the state of Ohio don't have those safe spaces? We can't say that we're ensuring that all of our students, whether they're homeless, low income, whether they're middle income and just have parents who are going through a hard financial time, have technology, if we don't have high-speed broadband technology and internet access throughout the state of Ohio. So I will continue on that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. Board Member Vera.
Well, good evening. I'm just super honored and excited to be able to serve alongside of all of these great leaders, alongside of our educators, our students, all of the stakeholders that are a part of our great district. This campaign experience for me was built on, being listening into our community. That is my priority. That's my reason why. I want to be able to serve alongside of each one of our students, our teachers, my team that's sitting up here. So I'm honored and I'm ready to get to work. And my commitment, is ongoing. I want to be able to bring growth solutions to our district. I want to be able to be an extension of, our educators, our families. There's a lot of work to be done, but there's a lot of great opportunity here at Columbus City. And as an alumni of this district, I couldn't be more proud to come back and serve my district in this capacity. As a mom of kids who are in our district, I get it. I get what a lot of our parents are possibly dealing with right now at home, especially in the face of COVID-19 and just the ongoing changes of how we protect our kids, how we educate our kids, and how we do that in a safe way. So my commitment is always to listen and put the needs of our students and families first. Thank you.
Thank you. So hard work, achievement, mission-focused work, opportunities, sustainable change, love, purpose, service, community, state leadership, facing challenges head-on, valuing others, safe spaces, student outcome-focused, growth, and finding solutions. That is what we are vowing to each other in this work we're about to embark on, this continued work. We have a lot to do. We have big dreams for this district, and each of us have been a part of that. And we sit at the table, but the truth is we are all one big CCS district. So every member of this team is vitally important. No matter who you are or what you do, your role is essential to how we go forward. We value you. We honor you. We respect you. We are all one team. And so your board really, and you heard that today from your members. Our job is to make sure that we are governing at the highest level, laser-like focus, like Board Member Hurley says, to ensure that our direct reports are doing all of the things that they should be doing to push the mission forward. My value that I bring is strategy and strategic leadership. It's really important to me that we continue to face challenges day to day in a sense of team, making sure that everyone is heard and we create those safe spaces like Dr. Pierce said, but never lose sight that we have to push forward. We have to be that urban model. We have to be the best in Ohio and in this country. And I believe we can do it. And I believe we have people at all levels in this organization who can make that happen. So I'm excited to lead this team. I want to thank my colleagues for trusting me with this position, as well as Vice President Reyes for serving alongside. But we are 7 equals, truthfully. I just get to bang the gavel sometimes. And so, I value each of you and the diversity and perspective that you bring to this team, and that is how we will govern. Even if we don't always agree, which we don't, we will do it with civility and respect, always. Thank you so much, team. Okay, let's go ahead now into board members' matters. And actually, we have an amendment. If there are no objections to board matters, we want to add a 7.3 to have a little update from Board Member Brown on the litigation and press conference that happened today. So if there's no objections, seeing none, then we will add that as 7.3. Okay, so 7.1, we have a resolution in order of termination, I believe. Vice President Reyes, do you have that? Yeah. had it. Here it comes. No, go ahead.
It's like, it's a coming.
No.
Whereas on November 16, 2021, the Columbus Board of Education approved a resolution in accordance with Section 3319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider termination of the employment of Tyler Stanley for a good and just cause. Whereas the notice of Columbus Board of Education intention to terminate the employment contract of Stanley signed by the treasurer was sent to him via U.S. mail, and more than 10 days have passed since delivery of the treasurer's notice to Stanley. Whereas Stanley has failed to file with the treasurer in written demand for a hearing, now therefore be it resolved that the board accepts, approves, and adopts the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the contract of Tyler Stanley on the following grounds, each of which is asserted by paragraph below, and each of which is asserted independent of and or in combination with the other grounds. Mr. Stanley pleaded guilty to kidnapping and burglary charges on May 3rd, 2021. Mr. Stanley was sentenced to incarceration of 7 to 9 years. Second, the Ohio Department of Education has revoked Mr. Stanley's educator license. Mr. Stanley does not hold a valid current license. Number 3, Tyler Stanley's actions constitute conduct unbecoming under the Ohio Department of Education License or Code of Professional Conduct for Ohio Educators and the Columbus City Schools Certified Staff Code of Conduct. And be it further resolved that in the judgment of the Board of Education, the character of the alleged conduct of Tyler Stanley is such that it warrants termination of his contract for good and just cause, pursuant to Section 3919.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. And be it further resolved that effective immediately, the Board of Education hereby terminates the contract of Tyler Stanley, pursuant to Section 3319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. And be it further resolved that the treasurer is authorized and directed promptly to furnish Stanley a written notice on the behalf of the Board of Education of his termination, which notice shall include a full text copy of the resolution in order of termination.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Vera.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much. Item 7.2 is the announcement of our board committees. So I've made the following appointments to the Audit and Accountability Committee. Board Member Beckerly will chair. Christina Vera will vice chair. Ramona Reyes will serve as a member. Finance and Appropriations, Michael Cole will chair. Eric Brown will vice chair. Jennifer Adair will be a member. Governance, Policy, and Advocacy Committee, Eric Brown will chair. Michael Cole vice chair. Dr. Tina Pierce will be a member. Neighborhood School Development Partnership Subcommittee, members of that are, there's no chairs, Jennifer Adair, Ramona Reyes, and Michael Cole. And Board Engagement Working Group, Ramona Reyes will chair, Carol Beckerly will vice chair, and Dr. Tina Pierce will be a member. That is the announcement of the committees. We are also working through with AJ, we're going to talk more about committees, and we're going to talk about policy diets and all of that stuff. So we still have a lot of work to do on our governance. There also may be points where we bring up other working groups that have specific things that they are working on for certain amounts of time. So we might be doing other things. So just know that this isn't the end all be all of the work that we do. Okay, but this is what we're appointing right now. All right. And now we will go to item 7.3. Eric Brown, Board Member Brown, update on the voucher litigation.
Thank you. Thank you all. This morning was for Ohio and for Columbus City Schools an historic opportunity. It was an historic moment. This morning, we filed a lawsuit. Columbus City Schools is not only part of the lawsuit, but we are the lead plaintiff. And this lawsuit was filed against the state of Ohio and some of its officers with respect to our challenge to the EdChoice voucher program. This program is not constitutional. Some people think that it has some merit, some people don't. But the reality is, at the end of the day, the Constitution doesn't permit Ohio from operating this EdChoice voucher program. And we're going to court to secure and protect our system of public schools in Ohio. First of all, the Ohio Constitution doesn't, what it says is that the General Assembly shall secure a single system of public education for all children, not multiple systems. And there's no authority in the Constitution for the state to fund more than one system, which is the public school system. Yet they have done so, and in doing so, they are taking hundreds of millions of dollars from public schools in Ohio, including Columbus City Schools, to private schools. Private schools are able to select what students they will admit and not admit. They can do that based on not only academic scores, but they can do that based on athletic skill. They can do that based on discrimination toward those who have disabilities. They don't have to take what we call special education students if they don't want to. But they do collect they collect $7,500 per student that they accept, less $5,500, I believe, for the elementary schools, which is more money that they provide for those students in private schools that can discriminate than they do to our students here in public schools. It isn't right. It's not fair. They have no government oversight. We obviously do. We have a lot of oversight, and compliance is important for us. They don't. The actions of these vouchers serves to cause us and public schools across the state to have to seek more operating levies, more and more all the time. And who picks up the bill but for taxpayers? So I think that it's important. The conversation this morning, and we had a large media turnout, was in part about both the unconstitutionality but also the unfairness of the system that has to change. The state seems to be determined to expand the system, and soon they're talking about providing education voucher for every student in the state, and that just would destroy public education in Ohio. This issue is an issue that is existential for public education in Ohio. This suit, we anticipate, will be larger and more significant in scope than the DeRolf litigation was in previous decades. And it was filed here in the Franklin County Common Pleas Court, and you'll have opportunities to witness parts of things that happen over a very long period of time. This is going to be years in coming, right here in our community. And I wish, I hope that all of our community, our residents, our parents, our teachers, are all in on supporting us pursuing this important challenge. And thank you for your time. If you have questions, I'm always happy to answer. My role has been as a member of the steering committee, a bit with the drafting committee for this complaint, 42 pages worth. And this morning they tapped me to essentially MC and be one of the lead speakers. So, thanks.
Thank you, Board Member Brown, for serving us. I just want to make it clear that this litigation is not about parents' choice about what schools they choose to send their students. This is about addressing a broken system that funnels away money that is, we're arguing unconstitutional. So, I know that sometimes the argument, people take it as a personal attack on parents' choice. That is not what this is about. Parents should choose whatever thing is available at the time that they believe is in the best interest of their children, whether that be our school or another school. You do what you have to do for your child. But again, this is a higher level systemic challenge to the funding structure. So that's our job, is to fight for our students in our community and our value of public education. And so that's what we're doing. And, again, we're taking one of the big leads here, in the state. Thank you, Board Member Brown, former Chief Justice, for your leadership with the steering committee and the lawsuit. Any other comments from colleagues? Thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and move into our consent agenda. This evening, our consent agenda consists of items 9.1 to 23.4. Are there any items that a board member would like to remove for separate vote? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Are there any items any board members would like to discuss? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
With the exception of 18.2, which I am voting no. Yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Vera?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into public comment. So the procedure for public comment is that we have 3 minutes to address the board. There will be no questions unless there is some need for some sort of big clarifying question. It's your opportunity to just share your comments with us. We have 4 speakers. I believe 3 are in person and 1 is virtual. So we're going to start with Bruce Miller, here to speak with us on safety and security in Columbus City Schools. I'm requesting that we speak with the Far South Area Commission to work on safety and security concerns in their schools. Mr. Miller, thank you for being here.
Members of the board, Dr. Dixon, good evening. My name is Bruce Miller. I am Far South Columbus Area Commissioner-elect. Like many of you who took your oath this evening, I take my oath of office this Thursday, so welcome. I started this process of having this conversation with you back in September of this year when I was running for office and I was approached by numerous residents within the Far South Columbus Area Commission. To give you an idea of what the Far South Columbus Area Commission is, it is basically the area bounded by State Route 104 all the way south to the county line, bounded to the west by the Scioto River, and to the east, State Route 33, and we hop over Lockbourne, Obetz, and the communities that are not incorporated within the city of Columbus. I was approached by residents while I was out campaigning who were presenting me with videos of fights that were occurring within Columbus City School buildings. And over that time period, I was presented with almost 100 separate videos of fights that occurred at school buildings within the boundaries of the Area Commission. So I took these videos and I attempted to reach out to our local school building principals. And I had the door slammed in my face at each and every building, from elementary schools to our middle school and to our high school. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. I was turned away. I attempted to reach out to Columbus City Schools Safety and Security 17 times via email and telephone. Not one of those messages was returned. We held a public meeting on November 30th at the Scioto Southland Community Recreation Center. We had approximately 55 parents and some school officials show up. We extended invitations to the schools. No one from the school district bothered to RSVP when we requested. And then they complained to us that we were rude in that we did not extend invitations or made ourselves available to members of the schools. What we are here for tonight is you had a presentation that you want community partners. We have been attempting to be a community partner since September. We have recreation centers that want to open their doors to have after-school programs. We have contacted 14 colleges and universities that wish to provide tutoring services, student teachers who wish to come in. Okay, thank you.
Much for your service as well, and I know that administration was taking notes. I know that we have board members that have also been in contact with you. Your concerns are very important to us. Our next speaker, who might pick up on where you left off, is Becky Walcott, here to talk about safety and security in Columbus City Schools. Board action, have conversation with the Far South Area Commission to work on safety and security concerns in our schools. Good evening, Ms. Walcott.
Good evening, and thank you, Dr. Dixon, and thank you, board members. Yes, Bruce and I have worked along with Sheila Eubanks, another community member, with the Columbus City School families in the Far South Columbus area. I too have been approached by parents and children who tell me the restrooms have been destroyed, children that don't go to the bathroom all day for fear of either being hurt in the bathroom or that there isn't adequate plumbing in the restrooms. So let me say this. I am the mother of 5 adult children. I'm the grandmother of 9 grandchildren. And I'm a community leader that is sadly out in my community probably more than I'm at home, right? Here's what I hear. I hear a loud cry for help. We are in a crisis. I'm going to use that word repeatedly. Our children need our help. What we're asking for is, first and foremost, let's get some counseling, more counselors into these buildings, and let's wrap these children and families in services that will help them. When a child is so busy destroying the public property to get bad attention in a video, there's something wrong. We are all barely surviving this pandemic. I know I am. I know I have lost my grace. I have, acted hastily during the last, I don't know what month we're on now, 18 months, almost 2 years. Anyhow, so I can't imagine a young developing mind handling this. We're in a crisis, but we also came to you tonight with a solution, not just complaints. What we want to see, we have 2 fabulous rec centers. So Far South Columbus is home to 3 elementary, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. We think we're the perfect area for a test program that gives a rec center, with our 2 fabulous rec centers and staff members of those centers. Let's bring the children Monday through Friday to the center. Give them a meal, an hour of homework help. Again, don't forget, I'm a mom. Everybody's got homework. That was my role. You always have homework. 1 to 2 hours of physical activity. Then mom and dad or whoever can pick the child up. They're not stressed coming home from work. The child has been fed. Their homework may be done. And it's family time, right? When they get home. We have the centers. We have the resources. We have, as Bruce said, the universities full of students that want to help mentor our children. So that's what we're here tonight to ask for. We're asking for your cooperation. We have spoke with board member Carol Beckerly. Thank you. I want to thank you publicly. We so appreciate the time and just that thinking outside the box and brainstorming sessions. So that's why we're here tonight. But again, I'm going to leave you with one quick statement. I know my time is up. We're in a crisis. I know a crisis when I see one. Our children are suffering. Please help us help them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for addressing the board, and thank you so much for both of your service to your area. Again, I know the administration was taking notes on that. In fact, maybe some of that could be a power on strategy. So, okay, our next speaker is Debbie Deschaux, and the topic is proposed contract, board action, discuss working conditions and the fair treatment of Columbus Schools Classified Supervisor Association members. Will you tell me how to properly say your last name?
It is Descheno.
Thank you.
No problem. Hello, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, Superintendent Dr. Dixon, members of the board. My name is Debbie Descheno. I am part of the Columbus Schools Classified Supervisors Association. Before I get started, I would like to thank every member of Columbus City School staff, regardless of your affiliation, for the work that you are doing in these very troubling times. So I thank everybody for that. But unfortunately, I'm also here to express some of my own frustrations in the lack of integrity that was shown by leadership of Columbus City Schools relative to our agreement being placed on the board agenda without going before our executive committee. I understand that that item has since been taken off of the board agenda, but that removal came at the direct request of our executive committee directly to the Board of Education. Had they not seen that it was on the agenda, we would have had an agreement that we had no say in. So when I heard that this was put on the agenda without any conversation, I sat and I thought I can no longer sit idle on these conversations, because you see, I have served the members of CSCSA for 4 years. I worked very hard with some of the new management and human resources and labor relations that came in to build really conversations and collaborative work so that we weren't working off of assumptions and ideas that were not shared collectively to everybody. So we really did a lot of work in that area. So it was kind of an insult to find out that we kind of went backwards. It felt like a backdoor deal. And that was difficult for me to swallow, because I know the work that our group does. For 4 years, I heard our members talk about, I've been with the district for 7 years. For 4 years, I heard our members talk about feeling like redheaded stepchildren, feeling like we're just an association, which I heard repeatedly with my conversations. We understand that we are not a union. We understand that we are an association, and that brings about differences in how we have our conversations. But what is common is that we are employees here to do the work of this board and for these students. We have work, we have the work that is keeping your bus compounds running with our transportation supervisors. Your schools are being safe with safety and security personnel. Your technology is running for remote and in-person learning due to your information technology department's efforts. Supplies are moving around the district, not to forget, they include COVID precautionary supplies and test kits to get out. Those are movements and actions and activities that are being done through our association. Columbus Schools Classified Supervisors Association, CSCSA, and I am just here to please request that you all work with our new executive committee to eliminate some of these stigmas that are around not only our association, but how it is valued in this district. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I believe we have one more speaker on this same topic, and joining us virtual, Cheryl Strum, the proposed contract, discuss the association agreement for CSCSA. Ms. Nichols?
Yes, hi. Yes. Good evening, President Adair, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Dixon. My name is Cheryl Sturms, and I have been a Columbus City employee since 1998. I am currently serving as the treasurer of the association. Our executive committee has been trying to schedule a meeting with employee relations and HR since November 16th. I was shocked to learn yesterday that a compensation package was given for approval on tonight's board. I do appreciate President Adair removing the non-negotiated agreement from tonight's agenda. As part of this association, I do not feel as I am respected nor treated as a valuable employee by HR, by not affording us the opportunity to present our association's concerns. These are just a few of the issues I feel need to be addressed. Number one, we have been left out of the $2,000 retention bonus paid to the other classified staff. This is not the first time this has happened. Two, we don't have a 26-year step in our agreement as do the other classified employees. Number three, vacation accruals are received monthly as of the first day of employment. The hours received increase every 5 years until the maximum of 25 days at 25 years. Sometime in the past few years, an adjustment was made as to how you qualify for the increased days. I feel that it needs to be investigated as to how this changed. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board this evening, and good night.
Thank you so much. To Debbie and Cheryl and all the members of CSCSA, you know, when we mess up, we say sorry. So I'm going to say sorry to you, and that is why we pulled it. It should not have happened. And I don't, whether it was, you know, somebody's schedule or what happened, it should not have happened. And so I've addressed that with the superintendent and her team. It was pulled so we can have appropriate discussions. You are valued. We care for you, and you are important to us. You do some of the most important jobs, as you highlighted. So just thank you for coming. Thank you for advocating. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Mistakes happen, and we are going to correct this. And so know that you are valued and appreciated. Thank you. Okay, I can't remember my last page of the script. Okay, so we are going to move on to our executive session, and Vice President Reyes has a motion.
I move that the Board of Education recess into executive session per section 121.22 of G1 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees.
Thank you. It's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
Ms. Vera?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. So for all the staff that are not sticking around, which is all of you, have a great night. And we will come back to the this room to close the session, although it will not be televised. Thank you, everyone. Board members, you have until 7:30 to find your way into the room.